Hey everybody, it's Carl from Carl's Opinion. How you guys doing tonight? This is our Monday night live call-in show. And bring this down just a bit. There we go. So we got a lot to cover tonight. Hey D.A. Archer. Hey Crazy Chick Sheena. How you doing? Lee, Rocky, American Shield. Good seeing you guys in the chat. And yeah, howdy. That's funny. Like a howdy. I like it. He's like, You're not from Texas." I don't know. Maybe you are. Maybe you are from Texas. I don't know. But yeah, the main headline that I put in the title is about the minimum wage hike. How's it going to cost millions of jobs? As you know, there's a bill right now in the House to raise the minimum wage to $15 an hour, and I think they have it up there by 2025. Well, anytime you pass a bill like that that's going to talk about any kind of finances or anything like that. The Congressional Budget Office, which is it's a nonpartisan office, and if anything tends to lean left. If anything, they do an evaluation on it. For all the Congress people, the senators, the Congress, everybody, the people in the House, people in the Senate. So they say, okay, this is here are the economic results of passing such a law. And in fact, let's just punch that up right now here. Let's take a look real quick. Let's see. All right, and you see there's a picture of Ocasio-Cortez. She went back to the bar she used to work at to talk about, raising the minimum wage and stuff. So anyway, it's going to cost millions of jobs according to the CBO. Again, it's the Congressional Budget Office, and they did an evaluation on it, and they said, okay, it's going to raise for people down at the bottom if you're making minimum wage. But I'm sorry, a minimum wage job is not a career. Okay, people work minimum wage jobs to get started to go somewhere else. I mean, you don't become a bartender in the hopes of being a bartender the rest of your life. Maybe become a bartender to save up some money to buy a bar, start your own business, or I don't know, maybe go into management or something like that. But you generally don't have anti-American against the American taxpayer. Yeah, totally. Yeah, she needs to stay there, right? I mean, for all we know, she was a really good bartender. I mean, which is kind of weird if you think about it. She goes to Boston College, one of the top universities on the East Coast, and gets a degree in economics, and then and I think a minor in international relations or vice versa, and then she ends up as a bartender. I mean, that was her job. I mean, she wasn't like, oh, I'm working as a bartender going to graduate school. No, she was a bartender. That's what she was doing. So I mean, I don't know. I mean, why would you go to 4 years of college to become a bartender? She could have done that without going to college for 4 years. I have no idea. I mean, did she have any hopes of going to graduate school? Did she try going to graduate school, but she flunked out of graduate school? Because generally, if you get like a bachelor's like in international relations or economics, that's not where you stop. If you want to like say you wanted to go into some government or like United Nations or staff job or work like in a city manager's office or anything like public relations, you have to go on and get a master's degree in public administration or international relations, or you need a minimum of a master's degree in economics. If you want to go to work for some, even a nonprofit, just a UN type of situation, United Nations type of situation. So I'm thinking that she went to this 4 year college, graduated. Boston College. That's a really good school. I mean, that's an excellent school. And then she probably went on to graduate school, probably flunked out of graduate school or something, and then ended up as a bartender and real personable. A lot of people knew her in town. I remember the Justice Democrats put out the, back in 2014, they put out like flyers and stuff, internet kind of stuff, saying, hey, do you know anybody who lives in this area? Every single, almost just about every congressional district they thought was a soft district. You know anybody who'd like to run for Congress? Who'd be a good Congressperson? And then people submitted names. Her name got submitted. They interviewed everybody. Had like a audition, if you will. Went through their backgrounds and everything, and they picked her to run for this specific district because I guess she had been born there, but she lived, even though she lived most of her life somewhere else, I think she had gone back to the neighborhood to live, and so she was a resident or could become a resident, whatever. And then that's how she ran. But she, she was a bartender. So something was to happen on the way to graduate school or the way to somewhere else for her to be ending up as a bartender. But the one thing about, like I always tell people, hey Jervis, how you doing there? Good seeing you. But yeah, very good school. We have several Ivy League school in Metro Boston. Yeah, I mean, yeah, crazy chick Sheena. She's sound like you're from Boston. Yeah, you know the school. So I mean, you don't go there get a degree in economics or a degree in international political science, international relations, and just stop. That's nobody's plan. So something must have happened. I'm not sure what. Nobody goes into it. I'm sure there's an interesting backstory there. But yeah, but now they're wanting to push this minimum wage thing, and CBO. So the Congressional Budget Office does reports. Says, okay, here's the economic consequences of it. And again, you don't work a minimum wage job forever. You don't go to work at McDonald's and have, and maybe some people do. Like you say, I'm going to stay here and let the federal government give me a raise. I mean, that makes no sense. I mean, you go out and make your own. You make your own mark in the world. Maybe you work your ass off at McDonald's, you get noticed, and you work your way up the system. You work at a grocery store, you get noticed. Work your way up through management, through different parts of the grocery store, bakery, produce, whatever. Do something like that. But if you're just sitting around waiting for the federal government to give you a raise, I'm sorry. I mean, tough shit. I mean, I mean, get over it. So anyway, CBO does report, and they look at basically, okay, the people down at the bottom, yeah, their income goes up, but overall for middle class people, since wages are going up artificially, that increases inflation, increases the cost of things you buy. So in other words, these people who are working like at Home Depot or McDonald's or Walmart or pick anywhere. The producers, the owners of these facilities are going to raise the cost of the items you're buying because it costs more for labor. So at the end of the day, the average American family, their net income based on their purchasing power actually goes down as a result of this. So your average working class, middle class family, actually they see a net loss. Yeah, the people way down at the bottom who have no interest in doing anything useful in society, yeah, they of course get a raise, but who cares? I mean, go make your own mark in the world. Don't wait for the federal government to give you a raise. So let's take a look at this story real quick. And this is from Valerie Richardson of the Washington Times, and she goes on to write. Okay, a report released Monday by Congress Chief Scorekeeper, the Congressional Budget Office, found that a Democratic plan to raise the federal minimum wage would benefit millions of workers, just not the unlucky millions whose jobs would be eliminated. Right. In other words, it would benefit millions of workers, but it wouldn't benefit the unlucky ones who actually lose jobs. Congressional Budget Office concluded. Let me look real quick here. Okay, good. Congressional Budget Office concluded that raising the $7.25 hourly minimum wage to $15 by the end of 2024 would have a mixed impact on the workforce, increasing the average weekly pay of an estimated 17 million and potentially 27 million people, while throwing as many as 3.7 million out of work. So yeah, so you increase wages, but almost 4 million people lose their job because employers can't afford to. If you have three employees, even a small business, you have three employees, and you suddenly have to, pay somebody a lot more money. Well, maybe you cut it down to two employees. And that's pretty much what it's saying. So that's about right. It's a third, going down, 17 million getting raised, about 4 million losing their job. Raising the federal floor as proposed in the Raise the Wage Act, that's a bill, on which the House is expected to vote this month, would also reduce output and business income, a cost that would be passed on to consumers in the form of higher prices for a cumulative $9 billion hit to median family income. On the basis of those effects, the C.B.O. Congressional Budget Office's estimate of the median effect on employment, the $15 option would reduce total real family income, that's inflation adjusted, total real family income in 2025 by $9 billion or 0.1%. So in other words, it doesn't even stay even, it goes down. I mean, yeah, it's only 0.1%, but this whole thing was supposed to it all raises everybody. Everybody does much better. No, actually it goes down. And then about 4 million people lose their jobs. So while real income for families living above the poverty line would decrease by 16 billion or 0.1%, about 1.3 million people would be pulled out of poverty. Well, pull yourself out of poverty. I mean, go get, again, if you work your ass off of these jobs, you will get noticed. If you show up on time all the time, you never call in sick, you never say, "Oh, I got to take my kids to school," or "I got to pick my kids up from school," or "You got to do something stupid," or "I'm sick, I can't make it," or "You got hung over the night before and you show up all whacked out and you're screwing shit up at the counter." As long as you show up to work and you treat. I always tell people. I was talking to this young kid who was bagging my groceries over here, and he was just, his attitude sucked. I mean, I was just watching, he was just throwing stuff in the basket, and I'm like, yeah, just throw that in the basket, why don't you? And he looks at me, I go, hey, if you don't treat every job like you have as like it's the most important job in your life, guess what? And he goes, what? I go, this will be the job for the rest of your life. You'll be bagging groceries for the rest of your life. Because if you think you learn your work ethic after you get out of college or after, you go to a trade school or whatever, no, you learn your work ethic from the first job you have. You actually learn your work ethic from before you go to work. If you don't have a work ethic from before you start working, you're not going to get one by being on the job. This kid is, freaking stupid attitude. I run into a lot of kids out there, service jobs. They do work their ass off. And I always tell this story. There's one guy at the grocery store that I went to, and he was in the meat department. And this guy, he was great. He was great. He learned everything. He read, articles and books, and got online and stuff, learning how to cut meat really good and the best techniques and how to sharpen knives. I mean, just everything. This kid was all over the place. I was talking to him a lot. And but in customer service, he was great. He'd come out from behind the counter, always helping the customers, then running back, to get things done. He wasn't just out lollygagging out front. He'd come out, make sure anybody was taken care of, and then go in the back. He was just brand new, probably started minimum wage. Well, anyway, the company noticed him, and everybody was talking good about him. The other managers, the customers were reporting good stuff about him, and they sent him. He left. And I didn't know at first why he left, but he was gone. I kind of missed it. Oh, shit, this guy was really good. They got rid of him, or he quit or something. Well, it came back like a year and a half, almost 2 years later. And I go, shit, man, where you been? And he goes, oh, man, they sent me to management school. They paid for him to go to management school in-house with the grocery store, their own in-house school. They paid him a salary while he was going, and he was down in Las Vegas. So I go, and they brought him back, and they put him in charge of the meat department. So I mean, he was now the manager of the meat department. So I mean, that's how you get a raise. Okay, you don't get a raise by waiting for the federal government to give you one. So anyway, while real income for families living above the poverty line would decrease by 16 billion or 0.1%, 1.3 million would be pulled out of poverty. Report found. Let's see what else. House Minority Leader Kevin McCarthy said the report reaffirmed that a federal minimum raise would kill jobs. He said the lawsuit would be nearly equivalent to eliminating all jobs added to the economy since 2017. Democrats say the benefits outweigh the costs. Yeah, no, they don't. Okay, so all right, let's get back to the border story here. Oh, actually, here, this is one I had up. This is kind of funny. I had this up in the headline also, and in the ticker. Let's see what's going on here. What's this? Gingrich Ocasio was viciously. That should come off. We'll see if that comes off there. I don't see it up there now, so it should be. It looks like this Ocasio-Cortez thing, Fox News. But anyway, so check this story out. Private college approves university-wide minimum wage increases alongside tuition hike. A bunch of students at this Washington University in St. Louis were out there, marching and protesting, saying, "Oh, you need to raise the wages of these people that work on the university, like the maintenance guys, the landscaping guys, the people who serve lunch at the commissary." Stuff like that. You need to raise their wages. You need to pay them minimum wage. You need to raise the minimum wage up to $15. You need to pay them at least $15 an hour. So they're all like, yay, pay them $15 an hour. And they wanted other things like, child care and all this other shit. And the universities, they got tired of hearing it and said, okay, fine. We're gonna increase everybody's wage to $15 an hour. And they said, oh, we got to pay for this now. So we're going to raise your tuition. Now, here's the sad part. Most of these kids don't pay their own way into college. When I was in college, I paid my own way. Well, it was it was a hell of a lot cheaper, though. I could actually work and go to school. And, it took me 7 years to get through 4 years of school. Not because I was stupid, but because I was taking off semesters and working or working full-time, going to school part-time, blah, 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 et cetera, et cetera. But, you could do that now, but it's really tough. The tuition's gone up so much. So anyway, so the sad part is, so they raised the tuition to cover it, but a lot of these kids aren't probably paying for it. That folks are paying for it or whatever. But anyway, so check this story out. So, private college approves. Let's see. Private college approves university-wide minimum wage increase along with tuition hike. And there you go. So, students at Washington University in St. Louis are finally getting the wish of a university-wide minimum wage increase. Hey, Fred, how you doing there? Good seeing you, Fred. Minimum wage increase for campus employees of $15 per hour, but the new policy comes alongside a pill that may be hard for some students to swallow. Yeah, for the students that actually have to, pay their own way, I feel bad for them. In addition to an increase in the minimum wage, there will also be a substantial increase in the tuition paid by students attending Washington University during the 2019-2020 school year. According to an official announcement by university officials, undergraduate tuition at the university will increase by $1,850. In a letter to students, they said they had to do it to provide the exceptional university experience and also, to meet their demands. So we are able to fulfill our mission, providing exceptional university experience inside and outside. It also enables us to meet the financial needs of all our students. The goal remains one of our highest priorities. Early this year, members of the Washington University Graduate Workers Union protested repeatedly on campus in an effort to lobby universities. So they're also getting subsidized child care for children of the employees. Yeah, go figure. Let's see here. So let's go and take a look back here. Oh, it's, I apologize, live call-in show, area code 775-273-8970. Now, if you want to appear by a video call, hey, Effie, how you doing down there, young lady? If you want to appear by a video call, which I prefer the video call phone call versus the phone call, because I think it's better. Why is that thing stuck on there? Let's see. Oh, there it is. Okay, I prefer the video call over the phone call because I think it's nicer for the audience. I think it's a better experience for everybody watching to see two people side by side having a conversation, or three people or four people. So if anybody wants to by video call, it's very easy. You can ask anybody who's done it. It's very simple. Yeah, you put in the chat room, hey, I want to appear by video call. And then shoot me an email. And, say in the chat, hey, I shot you an email. The email address is up there on the top left, ca2jogger@gmail.com. And, shoot me an email. So then when I reply to your email, um, I'll have the link. And all you can do is click on the link. If you're on your phone, click on the link. Laptop, same thing. You just type in your username and then hit join call. I take care of the rest on this end, all the audio and everything else, and I bring you on screen. So, and then you get to appear on screen, similar uh, to this, or this, or even this, like four of us. You get to do all that. Ah. So anyway, so you can do that. But sorry, I'm gonna be goofing off here. So yeah, so you can appear by video call. Now, if you don't want to appear by video call and it's late and whatever, and you're tired, you just call in. That'll be fine too. And that's area code 775-273-8970. So we'll get back to this story here, and let's see. Democrats' open border strategy. Okay, so here we go. Let's take a look. Hold on, let me just grab a cigarette real quick. Oh, there's Lee. Hey, Lee. Good seeing you again. Yeah, Lee, I haven't seen you in a while, man. What have you been doing? What have you been up to? Where you been? How's your site going? How's everything going, man? But okay, Democrats. Yeah, so live call-in show, live video call-in show. Anyway, Democrats' open border strategy. Let's take a look at this. This is analysis and opinion. This is from yesterday, actually, from the Washington Times. So basically, it's kind of a summary of their stupid, opinions on immigration, the Democrats. So here's the Democrats' plan: flood America's southern border with millions of illegal aliens, hook them on government aid, and eventually turn them into voters. It can't be more obvious anymore. Use the courts. Use right. I mean, that's their plan. I think we talked about this the other night. We've been talking about it for weeks, actually, on this channel with a caller-in guest, Effie, and a disabled vet, as well as the great dirtbag. We've all talked about this over and over again. So use the courts to strike down any attempts to secure the border. Have judges rule against election integrity laws like voter ID, or even the common sense question about citizenship in the 2020 national census. Once the census count is in, grant more congressional districts and federal funds to jurisdictions swelled with illegals. Meanwhile, prevent Congress from approving money for the borders or even to accommodate the massive crowds. Promise free, unlimited health care for everyone, including illegal aliens. On June 27th, during the Democratic debate, all the candidates raised their hands to support the insane proposal that is sure to be heard loud and clear south of the border. Exactly. In other words, everybody's saying, hey, come to Estados Unidos and get free everything. And then, having created the crisis by opposing all efforts to address it, Democrats like Cortez are making trips to the border for photo ops, lamenting the poor conditions caused by the crush of humanity, and blaming the Trump administration for creating concentration camps. And so this reporter makes an analogy. She goes, this is like taking a hammer to a store window and then blaming the storekeeper for people getting cut while ransacking the place. I think it's a very good analogy. I was about to Let's see. Do you know if Carl is going to talk about Tommy Robinson? Yeah, I don't have that set up for tonight, Lee. But if you want to call in and kind of give us an update, that'll be fine. So yeah, so if you want to call in, give us an update, or appear by video call on Tommy Robinson, yeah, I don't have it up in my. I don't have it in the. Well, since we're talking about Tommy in England, I don't have it up in my queue. That's how the British would say it, my queue. But yeah, if you want to call in and talk about it, that'll be fine. But anyway, so this it goes on to say this is like taking a hammer to a store window, then blaming the storekeeper for people getting cut while ransacking the place. And by the way, when you see those heartbreaking photos like the one of the father and daughter who drowned, keep in mind who's luring these poor people into harm's way. Yeah, these people aren't coming up. I mean, these people were just doing just fine until the Democrats said, "Come here, and get free shit." So in other words, they weren't in danger. They weren't seeking asylum. They don't need to seek asylum. Their lives are all pretty good. Guatemala, we covered this story about last week and a half ago. Their GDP has actually doubled in the last 10 years, gross domestic product. Crime rate has been is the lowest in like 15 to 20 years. Murder rate has dropped in half, 50% in the last 10 years. Things are relatively good in Guatemala. I mean, the guy who unfortunately drowned in the Rio Grande with his daughter, he was working at a pizza shop. He was married, had one kid. He was, living a regular kind of life. Like we're talking about people here working minimum wage. We all know people who have like a wife or a husband and a kid who work like at a grocery store or like a convenience store, 7-Eleven, whatever, pizza place. They're not making great money. They're not making really, really good money, but they're getting by. And this guy, he wasn't seeking asylum. In fact, they interviewed his mother. Associated Press interviewed his mother down in El Salvador, and said, "No, there was nobody chasing him. He wasn't like in danger. Wasn't seeking asylum. He wasn't like a Vietnamese refugee at the end of the Vietnam War." No, none of that. He was doing just fine. Obviously his mother stayed behind. She wasn't. She didn't feel any kind of danger or threat or anything. So, but they're telling him, hey, come up here, get free shit. And that is a different kind of immigrant from like even 10, 12 years ago. The immigrants who came 10, 12 years ago is totally different. So I mean, they were coming here looking for work, and they were generally single men. Most of the facilities, in fact, that they're holding these families in down at the border were designed for basically single men because that's mainly who they got. And they weren't designed to hold them very long. And single men, well, let's be honest, men are much easier to take care of than an entire family, women and children. They were young men, so they were healthy. It wasn't like, they had all these medical problems or anything. They weren't kids or women bearing children. So there you go. But let's see, we'll take time over here. UK obviously doesn't want it. Well, I tell you what, let me, since you guys are talking about Tommy Robinson, let me see if I can find a story on Tommy. Let me just jump over here. Let me go pull up a Tommy Robinson story for everybody here as we take a look, see what's going on. Okay. Pull that one. Let's see. Up. What'd I do? Up. I just cut that. Okay. Okay. Hold on. Let's see. Her. All right. Let's take a look here. Let's see. Donald Trump to grant him political asylum. Yes. Oh, here we go. Tommy begs Donald Trump to grant him asylum. Tommy begs U.S. President to grant him asylum. Independent Mirror, Daily Star. All right, let me pull this story up here. Man, this is like Ad City on this thing. Jesus Christ. Uh-huh. Let's see. Ah, sorry, this newspaper I'm pulling up is like ad city. I mean, it's like advertising city here. All right, let me get it back over here. Let's see, make sure I got enough on here. All right. Do 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 do. All right, here we go. This is from the Daily Star. We'll take a look at this. This is from the Daily Star. I'm assuming that's like a English newspaper. Tommy Robinson begs Donald Trump for asylum, claiming dark forces at work in the UK. Tommy Robinson has begged Donald Trump for political asylum after the far-right activist was found guilty of a contempt of court, meaning that he could be sent to jail. And this thing, let's see if it shouldn't have any audio on it. Let's see, it should just play. Well, doesn't want to play. I think I can find a YouTube video on this in a few minutes. We'll read the story. Okay, so Robinson, who appeared in court last week under his real name, Stephen Yaxley Lennon, featured on the InfoWars Conspiracy Channel prior to last week's hearing. The former EDL founder used his slot on the show, hosted by controversial conspiracy theorist Alex Jones, to issue a personal message to the 45th President of the United States. He said, "I beg Donald Trump, I beg the American government to look at my case." And there's a picture there of Tommy Robinson. Hey, there he is. The anti-Islam campaigner who recently failed in his bid to become an MEP for the Northwest constituency, parliament member, a member of parliament for the Northwest constituency, claimed that he would be murdered if he went to be caged in a Brit jail. Robinson went on to claim that the country's prisons are controlled by jihadi gangs. The 36-year-old said that he loved the United States and that he couldn't see a future for himself and his family in the UK. He added that this is a direct appeal on behalf of my family. We love the United States. I have no future here in Britain. The country has fallen. Hey, you know what? I'm sorry, guys. You know what? Tough shit. What do you mean the country has fallen? His country has fallen? He's going to split? Oh, great. That's the kind of guy we want. What happens when the shit hits a fan around here? Is he going to split on us too? Is he going to, like, what, go to Canada and say, hey, I need asylum in Canada because the United States has fallen? What kind of fucking bullshit is that? I mean, what? Think of the founding fathers. I mean, think about the beginning of the Revolutionary War when the shit was hitting the fan and we were losing battle after battle after battle, and they took our capital, Philadelphia. Remember, Philadelphia was our capital. There was no Washington D.C. obviously. Philadelphia. They took New York. That was like the big. They took Massachusetts. The picture on what the hell is the name of that hill? Somebody help me out on this one. The picture with the British, soldiers with the bayonet and the guy's pushing his hand away. In Boston, Crazy Chick Sheena, help me out with this. The famous, the Bunker Hill, I think it was. And this guy's saying, "Oh, please help me. I have no more future in Great Britain. My country has fallen." Why? Because he got a bad court ruling, and he's gonna like split. What a fucking pussy! Fuck him. We don't want him. What kind of a fighter? Hey man, the shit's hitting the fan right now around here. Do you see any of us leaving? Hey, you idiot! Fuck him. A fucking loser. He's going to leave his country behind. So all the people he loves, his family, his friends, all the people he's been quote unquote fighting for, now he may have to go to prison. I mean, fucking Gandhi went to prison. Jesus Christ, Gandhi was a little wimpy dude. Oh, by the way, Gandhi was an attorney. Bunker Hill. Thanks, Jervis. And by the way, Gandhi was an attorney. Okay, and he was a little wimpy dude. He went to fucking prison. Okay? Because he was fighting for justice for his people. I thought this guy was about fighting for justice for his people. What are all those girls who are getting into grooming gangs and raped and stuff? Is he done with them? He can't stay and fight? He's in a fucking democracy. Hey, wake up. Hey, grab some people, make some noise. It's a democracy. He's not like, he's not like in the old Soviet Union or he's in China right now. He's in Tiananmen Square. He's getting gunned down in the square as he goes to protest. No, he got arrested. The kids in Tiananmen Square in China back in what year was that? 89, 90? No, it was about 90, 91. They got gunned down with 20 millimeter cannons. They got fucking gunned down. And shit, and they're protesting. He didn't get gunned down. Some unarmed cops walk up to him, put him in handcuffs, and took him to jail. It was like, oh my god, I got killed. Yeah, I know his conditions in jail were pretty tough. He came out looking like shit, and I know, like, he had to put up all this stuff on his cell to keep people from spitting on him and throwing shit at him and stuff. But fucking shit, man. I mean, Jesus, fuck him. I'm not covering this story. Fuck this guy. Okay, sorry, not interested. Oh yeah, what a fucking loser. Help me, my country has fallen. Yeah, well, pick it back up. Like, help, my country has fallen. Well, then get back up. Shit, the little old lady at least, is gonna get back up at some point. Jesus. Well, no. Well, the point is, organize. He's got people over there. Is Sargon of Akkad? Is he leaving England all of a sudden? I don't see him going. Shit, it doesn't Molyneux live over there in England also? I mean, I don't know. No, he's from Canada, I think. I don't know. Oh, I gotta go. Oh, my country is falling. I need asylum. No, we don't need any pussies here. Okay? Sorry. No. Now you can stay in England and be a pussy. Stay there and be a pussy. I have no future in England. I mean, what the shit is that? And what's he gonna do when he gets here? You can't make out half the fucking words he says anyway. He sounds like a fucking retard when you listen to him talk. That stupid Cockney fucking accent. I want mate. How about a pint, mate? How about a pint? This is why we revolted against these people. Because you know why? Because they're revolting. Hey, Charity's Clarity. Anyway, this is my opinion on him. So yeah, there you go. All right, let's cover some news about Americans. How about that? Real tough people. People who make a difference. Thank you. Let's see. Find a story about Donald Trump or something, so I get this Tommy Robinson pussy out of my mouth. All right. Let's see. I'll find us a story here. Hold on. Let's see. Ah, here we go. This is perfect. There we go. This will do it. This will make me feel better. Yeah, yeah. Get lost, Brit. Get lost, Brit. Trump freezes out British ambassador for a high-level dinner. Yeah, fuck him. Fuck him. No, Lee, that's not when the globe's in charge. No, no, that's when you're a pussy. You don't want to fight for your country, Lee. Okay, that's what the guy. He's a pussy. He doesn't want to fight for his country. Again, he wasn't in Tiananmen Square getting gunned down with 20 millimeter cannons by the Chinese army. Okay, no, he got arrested. Okay, Gandhi got arrested. Okay, it's called civil disobedience. That's how you make change. That's what you do. Yeah, you have to sacrifice yourself, but that's the way it goes. Tough shit. I guess somebody else can sacrifice themselves. He can leave his mates behind. My mates, me mates, me mates. Oh, I'm sorry, I'm leaving you behind. I need asylum. Hey, Tommy, can you help us get asylum too? No, well, no. There's only enough room for me. I don't know if I get the president to get all of you asylum. Well, Tommy, we're going to be in danger here too. Can't you help us out? We're your mates. We grew up with you, Tommy. We grew up with you. We know you from the neighborhood. Yeah. Well, I gotta go. I'm getting that asylum thing. What about us, man? What about us? You said we were your mates. Oh, well, yeah. Fuck you. Yeah. Well, fuck him. Loser. Anyway, Trump freezes out British ambassador for high-level dinner. And again, we should all write to the president. Don't take this loser in. We don't need any losers here. Thank you. Anyway, Trump freezes out British ambassador for high-level dinner by Dave Boyer. Okay, Washington Times, July 8th. British ambassador to the U.S. was disinvited. Yay! Disinvited to a high-level dinner at the Treasury Department Monday night in honor of the Emir of Qatar, as President Trump moved to freeze out the diplomat who wrote unflattering cables about his administration. And the only reason why he's writing these unflattering cables, we all know why, because William Barr and John Durham are actually going to be interviewing Mr. MI6 Christopher Steele asshole, and he's going to give up the goods on British intelligence, how the British intelligence was spying on an American campaign. And that's why they've been begging Trump not to declassify certain documents. The British, British intelligence, been doing this because the British intelligence, the old Brit, spies, trying to still feel like they're important in the world. We're working with Clapper and Brennan to spy on the Trump campaign. And so what they're doing now, they're talking some shit about him to make Trump look bad. So when all this shit comes out about them, they say, oh, well, Trump's unhinged, Trump's an idiot, Trump's incompetent. Well, fuck them. Again, we don't need the Brits. You know what? They're doing that Brexit deal. The only thing that's going to save them after they get when they do this no deal Brexit, when they're not going to have any deal in place with the EU, they're going to lose a shitload of money. The only people who are going to be able to save the Brits when they leave the European Union are going to be us. Well, if you don't want our help, fuck you too. Okay, you can starve to death. I don't care. They can all starve in that little island. Okay, big deal. Again, we revolted against those people. Why? Because they're revolting people. That's why. And this asshole, him too. Anyway, the British ambassador to the U.S. was disinvited to a high-level dinner at the Treasury Department Monday night in honor of the Emir of Qatar as President Trump moved to freeze out the diplomat who wrote unflattering cables about his administration, and he leaked them on purpose. Okay? They didn't just show, they're cables. These are like top-secret classified shit. They're cables. They don't just, somebody put them in a pocket and they go get Starbucks and they dropped them on the table and somebody picked them up. That's not how that works, okay? The move to pull the invitation for Ambassador Kim Darroch came after Mr. Trump tweeted that his government will no longer deal with that diplomat. Good. Mr. Darroch missed out on a glittering dinner in the ornate cash room at Treasury, adjacent to the White House, featuring a guest list of Fortune 500 CEOs. Yeah, well, you don't get to meet with them and try to get them to invest in your country. Yeah, fuck you twice. At the dinner, Mr. Trump called the Emir a great friend of the U.S. and thanked him for building a U.S. military base there. Better your money than ours, the president joked. Exactly. Unlike those Europeans that we got to pay to be there to protect them. The Emir, they built that base. This is a who's who of people in business, Trump said of the attendees. Treasury Secretary Steve Mnuchin hosted the dinner for Sheikh Tamir bin Ahmad Al Thani on the night before the Emir meets. Hey, that was pretty good. Now I just pronounced all that. See? There you go. On the night before the Emir meets on Tuesday with Mr. Trump at the White House. The president said Tuesday's meeting will be big, from defense to purchases and trade. I know everything is going to be very positive. Qatar has been embroiled in a public feud with Saudi Arabia. Yeah, well, you know what? If anybody can fix that mess, it'll be Trump. Anyway, Qatar has been embroiled in a public feud with Saudi Arabia. The United Arab Emirates, Bahrain, and Egypt were accused Doha of backing Islamist militants in Iran. Well, I got to fix that. Among the guests at the dinner were Boeing CEO Dennis Muilenburg, Trump confidant Thomas Barrack, Chairman and CEO of Colony North Star, Ron. Well, I'm not going to read all this shit. Well, there are a whole shitload of people, whole shitload of people with a whole shitload of money, and the British guy didn't get to hang out with them. There you go. So anyway, several cabinet members also attended, as well as presidential advisors Jared Kushner, yay, Jared Kushner, big Jared, and Ivanka Trump, yay. Anyway, anybody who knows the channel knows I'm big. Oi, Yankee, answer your phone. Oh, let's see. Okay, sorry, I got going on that. Okay, I'm going to call you back. Okay. Hey, hold on. Oh, there you go. How you doing?
Okay.
All right, this is Effie Real. Effie, just say 1, 2, 3.
One.
Okay, that's good. I just had to make sure the line was going up. All right, this is the great Effie Real on site tonight. So let's see what we got here. All right, so hey, how'd you like my rant on Tommy Robinson?
Hey, you bloody Yankee. I'm calling you from jolly old England. You tell by my Kentucky England accent.
Okay.
Hey, we don't like you talking about us that way across the pond and all that, mate.
Yeah, well, shut up.
What's up with that now?
We'll send an F-22 Raptor up your ass if you guys aren't nice to us. How do you like that?
Yeah, we'll freaking tax your tea, mate. You're gonna have to do better than that.
I know. No, these people.
I think you know what? He blew it. You're right. He blew it. The man blew it. So, what he doesn't realize is the power of martyrdom. That's how Gandhi got his power.
Right.
And
Yeah,
anyway,
exactly. No, I totally
just
agree. I
yeah,
totally agree. Let's see here. Well,
be persecuted. Take one for the team,
right. No, I mean,
and
right. Exactly.
you're more powerful than ever before, like Obi-Wan.
Obi,
Sorry,
Obi
Star
Wan.
Wars reference. I apologize.
Well, yeah. Well, no, now we don't. He doesn't have to die, right? He doesn't have to die. But I agree. He should. He should at least.
Well, I know, and metaphorically speaking, he did lose 40 pounds in prison, so they were making the man suffer.
Oh yeah.
But
No. Yeah. He
do
was.
you
He was
know they
suffering.
took my money? I contributed to his defense fund, his GoFundMe for his legal bills,
Oh really?
and yeah, and you know about the scandal with that
No. What happened?
that
Tell me.
Milo. Yeah, these two
Yeah.
guys that had attached themselves to several this gay couple. They attached themselves to several conservative groups. Laura Loomer was one,
Oh yeah.
and
They actually attached themselves to Laura's stuff.
yeah.
Oh no
No,
shit.
no. I'm sorry, not Laura Loomer, not Laura. No, Lauren Southern. I
Oh,
apologize,
Lauren
not Laura
Southern.
Loomer. I don't mean to
Well,
disparage her name.
well, no,
Lauren Southern.
well,
Yeah,
that's even worse because I like
yeah,
Lauren Southern. Yeah, so a couple of guys put up a
yeah.
GoFundMe
She
page for.
retired.
Well, yeah, well, she's kinda.
Yeah,
She said she retired, then she comes back. She does those big long documentaries. She did that big long one we just watched on the. Although that one wasn't as good as the
yeah,
one she did on South Africa. Did you notice that? Did you feel
yeah.
the same way? Right. The South African one seemed like she was more into it or something. I don't know what, but the one she just did on the immigrants invading Europe, that
Oh
didn't.
well, there was a whole big article released about a month ago, maybe. Milo wrote a big expose with documentation. With I mean, we're talking texts and everything from people,
Hmm.
exposing her and these two guys, and
Oh wait, hold it,
yeah, there was a lot of ugly
hold
stuff.
on, wait, hold it. Lauren was part of the scam, or Lauren got scammed.
No, they're not definitively saying she was part of the scam, but then they're saying yes and no, like 1 foot in, 1 foot out, in the sense that she probably knew that they were doing things they shouldn't have been doing, and she was okay with it so long as, they didn't affect her. But she was actually blackmailed by them, so that was part of it too.
Oh wait, she was
And
okay. Hold on. So she was okay. So they got in business with her somehow. Then they blackmailed her to use
yes,
her name or something, and then they used her name, and
yeah.
and
Well,
people
she
sent a bunch
used
of
to
money.
work for that Steve Bannon. What was that? Um, What was that group? What was his organization called?
Some kind of freedom something. I don't know.
Yeah. So, yeah, I don't even know if it's still around. Anyway, so she used to work for. Remember, she got, I guess, fired from there, and but she knew them from back then. This was this couple, George and Kaylin Robertson, George Llewellyn John. I just found the article. So yeah, these two guys, they have been extorting money. They were supposed to be fundraising, and what they were doing was secretly exposing the people that they were working for to Antifa and other kinds of groups like leftist press and stuff. And they would, so like when Tommy was going through all this stuff, they would have meetings and phone calls with these people and say, he's going to be here at this date and this time, you can show up with Antifa and harass him. So they were doing that too, just getting him physically attacked. But they also stole thousands of dollars while he was in prison. Money that was supposed to go to his wife, money that was, like $20,000 in Bitcoin alone. And they were just blowing it because these are a couple of just freaks. They just spend money, buy expensive hotel rooms, expensive champagne, and just blew the money. So that's
Jesus, how much money did they walk?
so they ripped me off.
How much money did they walk away with?
I don't know the total. There's a huge article with lists and lists and I know it's $20,000 in just Bitcoin alone, but this is apparently had been going on, and so they were also extorting people. So when they got a little bit of dirt on Lauren Southern, they were making her make payments, but they didn't call it extortion. They called it severance. Well, we won't work with you anymore, but you have to pay a severance.
Oh wow!
And then they kept calling back for more severance because it wasn't enough severance.
How much money? How much money did she pay out to them?
Let me scan through here, see if I can get some numbers. Dear God, all these. I love how these leftist violent organizations call themselves stuff like Hope Not Hate when they're actually hate groups.
Right.
It's terrible. Let's see.
Oh yeah, I figured out on my mixer board how to, like, remember we played that YouTube video and you couldn't hear it when I was playing the YouTube video the other day? When you were on the phone? Anyway, I figured out where now
yes, and I couldn't hear.
And now you'll be able to hear it.
Oh, you are the wizard.
Well, it's just one of those things where you just
so
kind of
yeah,
look.
I'm seeing different payments here. 6,000 here, 1,500 there.
Oh wow! So these are like payments she was. Yeah, payments she was
making. From lots of different people.
So these guys like are these guys in jail, or are they like foreigners and they're like gone and they're like in Nigeria or some shit or Southeast Asia and nobody's gonna be able to find them, or what's the deal?
Let's see. Oh my God. They also ripped off Alex Jones for $46,000.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's crazy. Hey, wait a second. I wrote on the chat room. I wrote, "Hey, everyone, go to my GoFundMe page. Daddy needs a new pair of shoes." And then Charity, check this out.
Well, yeah.
Then Charity, though, she's gonna like try to get in line in front of me. She goes, "Not before she gets her new car." Beep beep. It's like, hey, I need my shoes first. Well, look, I need to walk, first before she can ride. Like you gotta walk before you gotta crawl before you can walk before you can run. Well, I gotta be able to walk, so I need the shoes before she gets her car. So everybody go to my page first, so I get the shoes. Then you can go to Charity's page and you can get her for the, help her out with the car. I think it's only fair.
Oh God, that's hilarious. I'm scanning through this really long article. They've ripped off so many people, and they did so many bad things, not just stealing money, but they would lie. They're just sociopaths. So they would lie and say people were in on it when they weren't in on it.
Oh, that's crazy. That's crazily insane.
Yeah, so then when people would catch them stealing from them, they would say, yes, but we're going to take all this and make it look like you were in on it, because what they would do is they'd go from one campaign to another, or one group, one conservative popular person, and they would use their connections with the other people to get credibility, and they would get in on it. And
wow, 46,000.
Oh yeah, we know them. They work with this guy and they work with that guy, and then they would get in on. Yeah,
I apologize. I was reading the chat. Did you say is these guys got? Are they like vanished? Are they in the wind somewhere, or somebody looking for them, or are they in an extraditable country, or where?
No, I think they were British. I think they were both British.
Well, that figures. That goes along with everything I've just been saying. Exactly.
Yeah.
You can't trust those people. That's why we got away from them. I mean, they're just always been disgusting people. The best thing that ever happened to them was getting conquered by the Romans. I mean, and then they ran them out.
And then they were bribing people to try to turn on Tommy Robinson that were insiders to say that he was doing things he wasn't doing, because they wanted to go get money from the leftist organizations for having big because they'll pay money for expose. So they wanted to get somebody to back up their lies, so they say they have a big expose, on Tommy Robinson, and here's what we insiders really know about him, like the Trump expose type stuff.
Right.
Insiders did.
Jesus.
So
that's crazy.
They had every angle going. Yeah, but yeah, apparently there's this big article. It's on Mila's website, Dangerous.
Oh yeah, hold on. Wait, hold on. Wait, hold on. Hey, Jervis, D.A. Archer brings up a good point that, make sure that link is a good link, because I think Forbidden was talking about, and D.A. Archer probably knows something about this, Forbidden put a link on her channel, and it zapped the shit out of a whole bunch of her and a bunch of the people on her site. So yeah, I have no problem with you putting that link on there, Jervis. But like DA Archer is saying, make sure that's a clean link because I don't want anybody linking onto
Hmm.
it and they get screwed somehow. That's what happened to Forbidden. Remember, she got what I mean, remember she was talking about that? Or somebody put a link
Yeah,
on
yeah,
her
I do.
channel. Yeah, and she linked to it, and then she hit the link on it, and it totally they hacked into her Twitter account and all kinds of shit. So yeah, I have no problem with anybody putting a link on here. That's why I make you guys mods. That's one of the reasons why I make you guys mods is so you can put links. Just make sure it's a clean link before you stick it on the site. Otherwise, we don't want anybody getting zapped, like what happened to Forbidden. And I guess DA, you know a little bit about that because I think I know you're a mod for her site also. So, but anyway, yeah, and guys, remember. So there's your warning notice. So, good. Make sure whatever link you put out there, make sure it's a clean link. Make sure you check it out yourself. Make sure nobody's, it's not just one of those hackable things that you link onto it. Next thing everybody's got your computer information, your banking information, everything else. Anyway, I just
Hmm.
I, ju- I just thought of that after cause I saw Jervis put the link out there, and but then when DA wrote that little thing, make sure it's a clean link. I remembered what happened to Forbidden. I mean, she was. I mean, it was a mess. But okay, but yeah, I'm sorry. I did not mean to interrupt you, Miss Effie Loves America.
No problem, no problem. Yeah, no, it's apparently one of them had a work visa that was revoked to work here in this country because he was scamming. He's trying to scam other people like Alex Jones, and that was revoked. It looks like they have Homeland Security. Our Homeland Security has been given all this information. They have an open case investigating both of them in the United States, and at this point, they will not be granted entry back into our country. So at least there's that. That's all I know as far as this article was written at the end of June. So I'm not, yeah. So end of June or 1st of July. There's not an actual date on it, but I'm deciphering it from what was said in the article. So yeah, that's where they are on these two individuals. But
Right.
yeah, about 3 weeks ago, 4 weeks ago, this was written. So yeah, the point being, I'm mad because they ripped me off.
Well, yeah,
So
I could see why you'd be
forget
mad
about all
about
these
it.
other people.
Right. I could see why you'd be mad
Alex
about
Jones
that.
can afford the 64 grand. I can't.
Right. Right. I no, I totally I
Damn it.
totally hear you. Yeah, let me hold
So
on. Let
I
me,
agree with you about English people. Daggone it, we separated for a reason. But on that note, you know that the 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 tall comedian. Oh gosh, I can't think of his name right now. He has talk shows all over the place. He's a really funny guy, and I can't think of his name. Anyway, he had this driving across America special. He really is like an American file. He really loves America. Comes and visits often and does specials.
right.
And but he's also pretty clever. Um, Fry, that's his name. Fry. Remember that
Right.
guy? He had the show Fry and Laurie, and
No,
with the
I
guy
don't.
that played House. Okay. Anyway, Stephen Fry. Yeah, Stephen Fry. That's his name. Anyway, he had a theory on a talk show. He just loves America, and he's just a big huggy bear about it. And so
Right.
the British host is like, why do you love it there? So what do you think the difference is? He said, the fundamental difference. He says, I think it's purely genetic. I think what happened was all the people that were the go-getters that wanted to make something of themselves and were ready to stand up and fight, for what they believed in, and were willing to take a risk and invent. Those are the people that took the risk and crossed the ocean and made that country. The rest of us that are left are descendants of the people that said, "Oh, we better not." And that's what we have. We have a genetic divide. That was his opinion.
That between us and the British, it was a genetic divide. So in other words,
Between us and the British, it's just a genetic divide. The
yeah,
people that are left in England are the ones that were like, "No, we better not risk it."
right. No,
to
no, well,
have
there
the
is.
big ocean.
You know what? There is truth in your words. If you think about it, like okay, I guess like say people who would leave like planet Earth to go colonize the moon or Mars or something. I mean, that's a scary prospect, for us right now. But you think like back in,
Yeah.
the 1600s, crossing the ocean wasn't automatic. I mean, you read about the trip from the Mayflower took, and they had Yeah, they almost sunk. I mean, that almost never happened. There were two boats that initially came across, right? It was the Mayflower and I forgot the name of the other boat. And one boat had to turn around and go back because it got damaged in the storm. So it was taken on water and had to turn around and go back. And the Mayflower sailed ahead, just the
Yeah.
one boat by itself. And then even that, they ran into a big ass storm, and then they had a they literally almost sunk. I mean, that this whole Mayflower story almost never happened. So the people who left, now part of it was out of desperation. Some were being religiously persecuted and stuff, but they were the risk
Well, sure.
takers. They were the risk takers. They were the people who said, you know what, I'm going to go make something of myself. I'm going to go and colonize a brand new place. I'm going to work my ass off, make something of myself. And I know I got to deal with Indians and all this shit. And it's a new place. I don't have family. I don't have friends around. I don't have all this. And it's going to be me and like my initial little family, or maybe single men, coming over and starting something new, and then bringing their wives over later, or maybe meeting somebody here, whatever. But they were coming over
Yeah.
and the women too. The women were like, this wasn't like, hey, this is going to be a lot of fun. Suddenly going from a civilized country to a wilderness, and they had to cut a civilization out of a
Right.
wilderness. That's no easy job. And the people who got right, the people who
It's
stayed behind,
not.
you're right. The people who stayed behind were like, I don't want to I don't want to get a hangnail. I don't want to get a splinter. I may have to cut some wood to get a splinter.
We better not. It's not worth the risk. So yeah,
Right.
and that's a common thing I hear British people speak of who are making commenting or making humor. Comedians talk about is that even the root of British comedy is like the 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 British comedian or comic actor is the guy that's always getting kicked around. It's like no matter they just enjoy seeing them get themselves being brought down. It's a weird cultural thing, and they're just they want to be persecuted almost. It's it's a strange cultural thing, and
Right.
American comedians, it's like bravado and, acting like you have it all together even when you don't kind of a thing and being a winner. It's like the British comedian, the clown is the sad clown,
Oh, I lost you
but
there.
it comes from their culture.
Lost you there for a sec.
Oh, sorry about that.
No, you're still
Oh,
there. Oh
maybe
wait,
it's
wait. Let
close
me
I
answer.
am.
Let me ask Lee a question real quick here. Lee says, "What kind of crime would it be like?" You see that story I got up right now? Do you see that Democratic
Yeah, yeah,
congresswoman?
yeah, I see it.
Yeah, Lee had mentioned that some. I had a story in the queue. There we go. I had a story in the queue about this. About Democratic congresswoman. She's actually the Congress. She's actually the woman. Excuse me, who ran and won for Beto O'Rourke's seat down along the border. And so what she was doing,
Hmm.
she was sending staff members down there. Okay, like say somebody comes up and says, "I need asylum," right? And they say, "Okay,
Right.
now we have this thing with Mexico. You have to go back and wait in Mexico." So now the provision is one, they have to speak Spanish, right? Because they're in a Spanish-speaking country. And the
Sure.
second thing is they can't have any
Absolutely.
kind they can't have any kind of serious illness. And that's kind of a deal we worked out with Mexico. Mexico was like, "Oh shit, we don't we got enough issues. We don't need anybody with a serious illness." So these people would be interviewed by Border Patrol, right? And then they'd be speaking Spanish to them, and then they say, okay, you have to go wait in Mexico. So what this congresswoman was doing was sending her staff down to Mexico, talking to these people, saying, okay, here are the exceptions to you having to wait in Mexico, like you can't speak Spanish, or two, you have some serious illness, or you're mentally whatever, you're autistic, I don't know, you're something, some kind of something that is something the
Hmm.
Mexicans don't want to take care of. Okay, so they go
Hmm.
down there and they caught him doing this, right? So because they're getting word
Yeah.
that they started getting people coming back saying, "Oh, by the way, I don't speak Spanish." And they're like, "Huh?" So we just talked to you, and they had them on tape. And then other people saying, "Oh, by the way, I have this illness, or I have this mental infirmary, whatever the hell the word is. I have this mental illness, something, whatever,
You had it.
and right. Thank you.
Infirmity.
Yeah. Oh, okay. Thanks. Okay. I have a mental infirmity and I need to stay. And so
Good
one
way.
of the kids they were interviewing, what dropped out of his pocket, I guess, was a something on this congresswoman's letterhead, about like like it's almost like I do in my office, like a client information sheet. It was like on a letterhead saying, "Oh, fill this out so
Hmm.
we can help you." And the kid still had it on him, and they found it. So the crime potentially could be conspiracy to violate
Yeah,
whatever like with like the immigration laws on asylum
whatever
seeking.
our laws are. Right.
Well, yeah.
Right.
Hold on,
That makes sense.
I got those up here too. Let me just check real quick.
Which
Let me
is ironic because then the people actually violating the laws don't seem to have any consequences, but it's
right.
the conspiracy to violate them might actually. Well, it would be. Wouldn't that be like, um, what do you call it? When somebody's a coyote, is smuggling people. What do you call that? That's a people smuggler. Is there a word for a
There you
people
go.
smuggler?
Yeah, smuggler. Oh,
Is it just a smuggler?
human trafficking. I guess you could say.
Human trafficking. Is there a law about that?
Yeah.
Because
So I
isn't
mean,
that partly what you're doing? And
yeah,
no,
you can't do that. So I don't know what the law is, but this is like the
can't do
asylum.
that, right?
Yeah, these are the asylum laws right here. Let me see if I can punch this up you can see them. Well, let me get my picture
I
out of. Let me
smuggle
get.
people.
Yeah,
So
it's
I
like a
just,
pirate. You're a pirate.
I just don't, I just
You're a
don't know if it's
pirate.
a law.
There you go.
Yeah,
So let's see if I can punch it up where people can actually see it.
it's a law in this country. I mean, I learned that when I was, a teenager because my boyfriend couldn't take me across state lines.
Well, no, that's a different law. That's a Mann Act. You can't take somebody across state lines in order to get them to a jurisdiction that has a lower age of consent.
Yeah,
You slut.
but you
Jesus.
can take a kid across the borderline. I didn't say I was doing anything. I was just buying fireworks. Wait a minute, that was illegal too. Never mind, you didn't
Oh,
hear
there you
that.
go.
That's
Yeah.
way
So
outside
this
of.
would this would be Title 8
Um,
8 USC 1158. So basically that's the asylum law. Now the actual law for I don't have the code section up. The actual law for coming across the country illegally, that's a misdemeanor on your first offense. Your second and subsequent
uh huh.
offense could be classified as a felony because the first violation comes with up to 6 months in jail. That's a misdemeanor. The second offense for crossing the border illegally comes with it up to 2 years in prison. Normally that would be automatically a felony, but I'm not sure if there's a bottom end where like you can get less than you get through 364 days, which would still make it like a misdemeanor or like a gross misdemeanor. But yeah, so it would be like a conspiracy to violate, and then whatever law came down. Well, there is no, unfortunately, there's no law in the Mexico keeping people asylum seekers in Mexico. It's just like an agreement we have with Mexico, and that got through the courts. It was an executive order. It was part of the emergency declaration, and a U.S. District Court actually the Ninth Circuit of all places upheld it. They said, yeah, you can do that because what happens?
Okay.
Well, they looked. The trial judge, the U.S. District Court judge, was an Obama appointee, and that's where they had the trial, and they took evidence, and they said, okay. Let me put this back up here real quick. Where is it? Up, I grabbed it. Hold on. Let's see. Give me a second, Effie. I gotta find this real quick. Let's see. Where is she? Blah, blah, blah. There we go. Boom. Okay. Boom. Okay. All right. Let me get back here. Here we go. All right. So, but yeah. So, well, shit. What the fuck was I saying? I was saying something. What was I saying?
You
I
were
don't know.
saying what was a misdemeanor? You were saying
Oh,
the Ninth Circuit upheld it.
Oh yeah. So anyway, so remember, so Trump does his emergency declaration, and then part of that is he does like an executive order because he does a deal with Mexico, where Mexico does a deal that okay, we're going to put tariffs on you if you don't help with the border, and Mexico says, okay, we're going to help with the border. One of the things we're going to let you keep asylum seekers in Mexico while they're processing in the United States. But there were a couple conditions the
Right.
Mexicans put on it. One, you got to be able to speak Spanish because they don't want not much of non-Spanish speaking people in their country. Go figure. And two, you can't have a major medical illness or anything. So anyway, again, this congresswoman sending staff members down there to talk to people who are waiting in Mexico to come, being processed, and then telling them to lie for the exceptions. And these people had previously been interviewed under tape. So right now, I think he got a referral to the Justice Department. Let me take a look real quick here, if it did or not. Let me see. Let's see. Her name is Veronica. Veronica Escobar, I believe, is her name. Where is she? Yeah, Veronica Escobar. She's the congresswoman who took over for Beto O'Rourke. And let's see if they referred it over. Let's see. Hmm. So anyway, her team has sought interviews with 6,000 people who were returned to Mexico last month. So she's been down there, really doing some busy stuff. And so the union learned from an intelligence unit with the CBP that those doing the interviews are wearing recording devices during the interviews to tape conversations and possibly listen back later. So the CBP had them on tape, and they went through and interviewed everybody, cherry picked them, brought them back, and now we're using them as taglines. Let's see. Let's see if I'm trying to see if they're going to refer it over. They said, yeah, see, she's obviously trying. She's trying to obviously say these people have been wrongly denied their claims and they're waiting when they shouldn't be, said Metcalf. However, he said a criminal case would exist if Escobar were found to be complicit in an effort to perpetrate a fraud, which would have to include knowingly injecting false statements during interviews, follow-up conversations, and documents presented to U.S. officials. A Department of Homeland Security official aware of the situation said Democrats, nonprofits, and 2020 hopefuls are furious that these migrants are not permitted to await their court dates in the U.S., where they have the opportunity to disappear and slip into the interior, never to be seen again. Yeah, so potentially could be a referral to the U.S. Attorney's Office on her. I don't see why there wouldn't be. I mean, it seems like that would be...
Right. What is her position? She's just an employee of
No, this is...
congressman, or
No,
what was
Escobar,
her position?
she's actually the congresswoman. Now, I'm not
Oh,
sure. Yeah, I'm
I
not
thought
sure.
you said she sent somebody. I thought
Well,
you
she
said
sent.
someone was sent to
Well,
someone
well,
else's stead.
she sent her staff. She's sending staff down there. I mean,
Okay, gotcha.
yeah, but still, if it's like
Okay.
a RICO Act violation. She's directing these people to go commit a crime. Sorry, that's also called
Right.
conspiracy. She's conspiring to commit a
Sure.
crime.
Sure.
Federal law conspiracy, I think, comes with a minimum 5 years, 10 years. I mean, if you conspire to commit a crime under federal law, it's really bad. It's like not good. So but I
Yeah,
mean,
she's Charles Manson. I get it. People are like, wait, Charlie
exactly,
didn't kill anybody.
exactly,
So,
exactly.
so, so at the very least, it's grounds for impeachment. From her position, at the very least, it's not that's
Well,
not a
I'm not
criminal
sure.
proceeding, but
Yeah, I mean, I'm
she
trying
should
to
lose
think.
her position.
Yeah, I'm not sure you can impeach a congressperson. Can you impeach a congressperson? Yeah, it's funny. I've never thought
I
about
would
that.
think so. You can impeach a judge. You can impeach a mayor. You can impeach. I would think so. You can impeach people in
Yeah, but then,
local
let's be honest.
government.
That
So
the House isn't going to do anything to her. They're gonna think she's a hero.
yeah.
Yeah,
So the
yay.
problem is the governing body that yeah.
Hmm.
Well, wouldn't it be her own somehow her own body politic that would impeach her though?
Well, no, I mean that's what I'm saying. The
Somehow
House.
wouldn't there be?
You mean like a recall? Oh, wait. Well, think where she
Yeah,
is.
like her own state.
Yeah, yeah. No, well, no. Well, one the state couldn't, but I mean, like her own district could like recall her. But I mean, that district isn't going to recall her
Yeah.
for that. Think where she is. She's in Beto O'Rourke's old district. I mean, they love
Mm-hmm.
illegal aliens there. It's like they love defrauding the United
Well, see,
States.
that makes no sense because there's so much homelessness and crime and nonsense going on in the West now in California, et cetera, but also in parts of Texas, New Mexico, and all of that. What the hell? Do they not get that?
They don't care. They don't care.
I
No.
was reading the story of a rancher on the border, and her husband was shot and killed by cartel, and she desperately wants to fence up because, yeah, it was a couple of months ago, but when it happened, but there are enough people who are suffering. But all you have to do is see the homeless crisis. People migrating to those warm states, so they're surrounded by it. So you can't avoid it.
No, I mean, I totally
don't
agree.
Understand.
Yeah. No, I mean, I totally agree.
Not so much. I understand the motivation of the Congress people because they want to get more illegals who would then be beholden and vote for them, and they also want to make illegals be able to vote in this country. I get all that. So they want power. They want to keep power.
Oh,
but
anyway.
What I don't get
I think Rocky.
is the population at large.
Yeah, I think Rocky's got the answer for us. Thank you, Mr. Rocky. He goes, I think you can impeach a senator and a congressman can be expelled. A congressman is expelled and a senator is impeached. Ah, thank you, Mr. Rocky. See, there you go. This is why I like this channel. We have some really
There you
intelligent people.
go.
We have really intelligent people on this channel. So, like, like it's great because, like, you don't know something, somebody else does. It's like really cool. This is a cool channel. But and
And
then
you have me, the dancing starfish. I'm just here to
Dancing
entertain.
Starfish. Well, no, I was including you in that. Okay, that was inclusive of you. That was not exclusive of you. So yes, but
Well,
no,
that's mighty kind of you, son,
of
as
course.
they say in the South.
But and then
Well, they say something else, but it
and
has an ethnic slur in
then
it.
no,
I'm
yeah,
not
no,
going
no,
to use
no,
it.
don't do that. Don't do that. I'll have to give you the zombie.
No, it's okay. It's against white people. You can say bad things about white people. It's
Nah,
all right.
you can get the zombie. Zombie, look. Zombie will be on the screen here in a few minutes. You'll see. You'll see.
Hey, can I do a slur about English people then? That seems.
Yes, yes. Tonight you can do a slur against English people. I'm in a really bad mood about English people right now.
I know you are. It's hilarious. Pushed all your buttons. It was
Well,
great.
well,
We
no.
loved it.
Well, it was
Um,
funny. Well, it was funny because he goes, "Oh, this, hey, do us, you're doing a story on Tommy Robinson." I'm like, "Yeah, I know this guy. Let me do it." And I pull up, then I start reading what this idiot had to say, and I'm like, "Well, fuck him,"
yeah.
So anyway,
You,
okay, see the
you're not
zombie?
martyr enough, damn it.
Did you see?
But
Did you
first, I
see?
need to know:
Wait, look,
do you
wait, look.
dislike Canadians
Yes, I did.
more than English people, or
I
vice
don't. I
versa?
I don't know. I probably dealt with more Canadians, so I might have more of a dislike of Canadians than English people. But I don't like English
Okay,
people. I
all
don't like
right.
English people. They burnt our White House. Remember that? I remember that. Remember the White
Yeah,
House?
yeah. I was there. I saw the whole thing. It was
I saw
terrible.
it too. It was
So you're right.
disgusting. Those people are disgusting. I
It
mean, what?
was.
I
I
mean, what's
mean,
her
they
name?
have no
Dolly
decency.
Madison. Dolly Madison had to grab the
That's
big
why,
portrait of George
Carl, we
Washington.
can't have nice things.
Exactly. See, we can't have nice things
We
because the
can't,
British and the
you know.
Canadians. That's it.
It's because that's why. Damn it. So, that's why they have socialism, because we freaking pay for their military. But I
Yes.
digress.
Thank you. Yes.
Um, yeah. In the chat room the other day, I was saying somebody was 2 beers short. I think it was an English person. I can't remember who. Remember that?
Yeah, you said they were 2 beers short.
What?
I don't know. I can't remember now. But yeah, you said 2 beers short or some shit.
Okay.
Yeah.
I was just wondering if you knew what that meant.
2 beers short of a six pack?
Yeah. Do you know? Not in the not in the sense of not in the sense of crazy or stupid. I
Oh
don't know if
no,
you've ever heard
no.
the
I thought. See, but
explanation.
I thought you meant. I thought 2 beers short of a six pack meant like the elevator didn't go all the way to the top, kind of thing.
No, yeah, I guess it can in some, in that sense, but also, I can't recall who we were talking about. That's why I brought it up, because I was referring to somebody being not manly, and I don't recall who it was. But but it goes like this. There's a story. This is an Israeli person, an Israeli friend that I knew a while ago told me. He said they don't. He said that he doesn't like English people, and I said why, and he said. He said they're a couple of beers short. I said, oh, I said, so you mean they're not okay in the head? And he said, no, didn't you know? He said there's a theory that states that there's a certain number of beers required for every man that they would be willing to perform a homosexual sex act. I said, get out of here. He says, yes. He says, and the theory continues that all Brits are born 2 beers short. That's where that comes from.
So they already got the 2 beers in them on the road to that. Okay. Oh, that's funny.
Just naturally, genetically.
Uh-huh.
So there you go. So basically, it means unmanly. Although I've known some really manly gay people, so that kind of falls flat. I digress.
You
Point
digress.
Being, 2 beers
You
short.
digress. But hey, I recorded a video from Timcast. You ever watch Timcast?
Yeah, sometimes, but he gets like he reads a lot, and then it starts getting a bit much because he repeats his point like 5 times in the same video. So then I kind of like
Well,
cut him off about 20%. I've learned about 20% is all I can go.
Do you know why he does that? Do you know? I want me to tell you why he does that? This is my opinion. Carl's opinion.
Is there a reason?
Here's Carl's
Okay,
opinion. Is what
okay.
this guy is in a struggle right now. Okay, when I was watching the video the other day, he's in a struggle with himself right now. Because, like he said, when he used to be, he was to the left of Barack Obama in 2008. Okay, so he's a leftist, and he showed
Right.
this little graph. It was great how he showed it. He showed this graph that somebody put together, showing how the right over time, how their positions either move further to the right or further to the left. And the graph goes back to, like, say, I think 2004, and it showed the right going a little bit to the
Mhm.
left, but it's like kind of like a straight line going up, but a little bit to the left, a little bit to the right,
Mhm.
a little bit, but it pretty much stays pretty much consistent. That's the right, okay? Then they showed the graph to the left,
Mhm.
and then and before 2012, it's a little bit to the left, a little bit to the right,
Mhm.
no big deal. And then, like, after 2012, they showed this, the line goes like on a 45-degree angle, zzz, way to the left for the
Left.
next five
Right.
years. And he goes, now here's the deal, because
Hard left.
people were saying, oh, have you been red pilled? Have you been red pilled? They were like criticizing him. Oh, you've been red pilled. You're now on the right. And he goes, no, look. He goes, I haven't been red pilled. I'm still in the same spot. And he points like on the graph on his on the screen. I'm still right there. Okay, here's the problem. My party that used to be right there is now way over there to the left. and he says, and he says,
Exactly.
or let me see, on the screen it's going to be way to the left. There you go. It's way to the left. Okay, I'm going to make sure I get my picture going the right way. And so I'm still here, and there's a whole bunch of us still right there that we're not going that way.
Mhm.
So we're like lost in the wilderness. We're like children lost in the wilderness. We're not Republicans.
Yeah.
We're not willing to make that leap to go over there, but we're not going to follow them off a cliff, basically. And so the reason why he repeats
Right.
himself, because he's in this constant struggle with himself. I think when he's doing his videos, you'll see him. He catches himself. He goes, "Well, I don't want to say that," and like, well, okay, I don't want to say that, and he's constantly, and he's like, well, and he's constantly doing that because he doesn't know where the hell he is. He doesn't know where he is right now.
He's
you
given
know.
himself therapy. He's sort of convincing. He's trying to convince. Yeah, but he says he doesn't want to say words sometimes because he knows which words are triggering to the algorithm too. So he tries
Well,
to
yeah.
say different words in their place.
Right, yeah,
You know,
H.A. Goodman.
and
If you notice, I really don't do that. I mean, like H.A. Goodman does that, and he does it. I really don't do that. I mean, look, there are words I don't like, but so I don't say
mhm,
them, and I don't let people say them on the chat room or on my site. But those are just words I don't like. They're
mhm.
the big three. They're racist or they're anti-gay or anti-Semitic. Yeah, they're not on my chat and they're not going to be on my site. But it's not because I'm trying to avoid some
Right.
algorithm. Now these guys actually, like H.A. Goodman, has it down to a science. I mean, when he talks, it's like you almost need like some kind of a more like a secret decoder ring, to figure out what the fuck he's saying sometimes. Because he'll say like instead of saying weapons of mass destruction, he won't even say WMD. The other night I was watching the show and he
Yeah.
goes a W, and then we're kind of doing like married like an M, and then we're kind of do like a David like a D, and he goes, see, that's how I get past the algorithms. I go, yeah, nobody can fucking understand what the hell you're saying. He's like, but I mean, like, 'cause I watch H.A. Goodman a lot, I watch Tim a lot, 6 Hammer I watch every morning, but I watch those guys like in the evenings and stuff. But yeah, I like watching it. But
Yeah, but I think even Sticks curves some of the words. Like they won't say certain words
right,
because
it'll cut down on their viewership.
your whole channel will be taken down.
Well, not
Yeah,
not
well,
not
they'll take
well.
your whole channel down.
Well, no, no, no.
Like
It
they'll
won't.
say
It won't.
a
No, it won't.
political party in 1934 Germany. They'll
No,
say
no, no,
that
no. They won't take you
instead of
down. No, no.
the
They won't. They won't.
NAZI word.
No, no. They
Mm-hmm.
won't. They won't take you down for that. What they'll do is they'll just further
Mm-hmm.
suppress your video. No, no. The algorithms won't. They won't take you down for those words. It's just that your video will get even more suppressed, so you have less people viewing it.
Sure.
And now you
Sure.
gotta remember something. These guys,
Well, they're already suppressed.
you gotta remember
Yeah.
something. These guys make money off these sites. These guys, all these sites are monetized.
Right.
And then also,
Right.
that's the next thing I was going to say. The big thing is they get demonetized. The video will get demonetized, and they don't
Yeah.
make any money on it. So that's why when they're saying
Mm-hmm.
like the algorithm, the main thing is not that the site's going to get taken down or they're going to zap the whole video. It's just that they'll say you're not advertiser friendly. They'll take and they'll demonetize it. And these guys, this is what they do for a living. H.A. Goodman, Tim, Sticks and Hammer. This is how they make their income. So
Right.
I have no problem with them,
Yeah. So
doing it for that reason.
I could never be monetized, and you could never be monetized, and so it's a good thing that
No.
you don't want to be. But even if you could control yourself, if I would probably blow it for you because the thing is,
Like, there it goes.
Generation X, we're the last generation of don't give a crap, and
Right.
it's really sad that my generation, I consider my Generation X, to be the last cool generation. I have hope for Generation Z, but
Well,
I don't know.
I'm right on the cusp of
I
the
don't.
baby. I'm right on the cusp between the baby boomers and Generation X because I was born in '65, and like I think the baby boomers ended
Mm-hmm.
like 19 years after World War II or 15 years after World War II. So I'm like right in that little sweet spot, bad spot, whatever spot you want to call it. One of those things.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So I just think that all the generations were cool compared to now, and it's like the first time in history. I just it's so bad. It's like what are millennials going to look back in their old age and look at and say, yeah, we were cool. What are they going to
No,
What are they going to say? Yeah, we had these
no.
Twitter wars and what
Yeah,
are
well, I
they
think
going to say?
right. I think. Well, the thing
They
is,
have no cool, zero
I
cool.
well, it's kind of weird because like you see like people in their 40s, acting like these young kids. So maybe I'm kind of wondering when these kids get in their 40s and 50s, are they going to think we're cool? Because you see people in their 40s and 50s thinking they're cool. They're on Twitter and they're, you know, bad mouthing people and talking shit. And so maybe they think that's cool. And when they get older, they're still going to think it's cool. And they're just going to be perpetually in a state of like being a bunch of dorks, thinking they're cool.
It's just going to get worse and worse and worse.
Yeah, maybe it's just going to get
Although,
worse and worse and
when I
worse.
was a kid, and I was a kid in the 80s, I saw the resurgence of the family values kind of thing,
Yeah,
which
I
seemed to
was
rise up from the ashes of the
Ronald
free love
Reagan.
hippie crap.
Ronald Reagan say Ronald
Yeah,
Reagan.
but
Wait, Ronald
yeah,
Reagan and wait, hold it. Ronald Reagan and Duran Duran.
my brother liked Duran Duran when he was a little kid. He
You know what?
used to like them. I
You know
always
what?
tease him about that now.
You know what Duran Duran saved us from?
uh, I don't know.
Bad
New
clothing,
wave?
and bad haircuts. After Duran Duran came out, the short haircuts returned, and the big wide lapels went away, and the big wide ties went away, and they were
Uh
the
huh.
thin ties and the thin short collars and the thin lapel. I mean, thank you, God. I hated that long hairstyle. I hated the suits. I hated the ties. I
Oh,
hated
you mean
everything.
that you hated the suits and the ties?
Well, from the '70s, Duran Duran had the short,
Oh,
tight
okay.
suits and the thin lapels and the thin ties
I
and the
can't
short.
picture that, so I don't. Maybe I don't really remember that.
I
So
do.
I have to look them
I
up.
lived
I'll look
it.
them up
I lived it. It was
so I can
the
get
set.
what you're talking about.
Yeah, the '70s are post traumatic stress disorder for me. So the '80s saved me, and Ronald Reagan was there to save us too. Yay, Ronald Reagan.
Well, I just
Who
remember
st-
hearing people on the radio talking about family values, and when I was a kid, and I remember, and I read. My grandfather had a lot of books, and I read a book about rebellious generations rebelling against each other that had been written back probably in the 50s. And I thought, oh, well, this is happening. I just, because I always saw patterns. And I was a voracious reader and a precocious kid, and you wouldn't even want to have been around me then because I was weird. No, I was exactly like I am now, except I was like, 8 and 9. I was just reading college level at the time. So I was putting together these patterns, and I came up with this theory, and I remember talking to my grandfather about it. Like, yeah, I think that's happening now, Grandpa. At this stage that this book was written was probably maybe early 60s, and they were starting to see a bit of rebellion against conservative sort of values, family values, the
Yeah.
beginning of the the 60s kind of free love, kind of hippie stuff.
Well,
But
I think with the
just,
I think with the kid.
rebellion,
Well,
counterculture. That's what
well,
it was.
yeah. Yeah. I mean, I think what the kids saw in the '60s was one, you saw war. You saw a lot of racial
It was a little bit
strife.
before the Vietnam stuff, but which people blame on everything. But it started before that. It was
Oh no,
rock and roll
yeah.
and all
Pray
that.
tell.
That was before the
Yeah.
Vietnam War.
Pray tell. Because there's always a big discussion like you had like the baby boomers who were born after World War II, and so they didn't see the history of World War II. They were growing up after it, and and there's a lot of
Yeah.
there was a lot of excess. There was a lot of middle class success in the '50s because we were the only country making anything. So you had lot of wealth
Yeah.
and a lot of leisure time, and these kids didn't have to struggle when they were growing up. They grew up in middle class neighborhoods.
Yes.
You had the first subdivisions were coming out, real subdivisions, and those kind of things.
Yeah.
And so they had a lot of leisure time, and I guess then they were like looking at their
And it was the
parents.
beatniks, and the beatniks. It
Right.
was before the hippies. It was the beatniks, and they were like, everything's so plastic, and that was their counterculture movement. So it
Yeah.
was, every generation having to rebel against the previous one. And what I saw in the '90s with grunge and the ugly kind of rise of ugliness was the rebelling against what they considered to be the shallow corporate success, yuppieism of the '80s.
Yeah.
So they kind of went, they went the other way with, grunge and trying, hippies Mark III, because there was a small hippie movement in the '80s too, but people don't want to talk about that. But yeah, it was a kind of a new hippies, which then merged with the leftist, veganism and the just the beginnings of PCism, and the gay movement. That's when the gay movement really got a strong foothold, because that started in the '60s, but it really emerged as a powerful movement in the '90s. So that's where we got that culture. But anyway, the point is every generation rebels. So the one thing I have hope for is that the ridiculousness that we're seeing now, Generation Z will say, well, we want no part of that.
Right.
You guys were crazy and not cool, and we don't want to be not cool. We're cool. So whatever they see as the previous generation, they're going to think is gross. And, I don't remember the '70s, but I do remember in the '80s thinking the '70s were gross.
Yeah, they were.
So,
like I said, it was bad haircuts and bad
well, I
clothing.
was right then.
Yeah, no, it was terrible. It was really disgusting. So, no, I was happy that saved us. But hey,
No,
I tell you
yeah.
what, I'm going to cover this Timcast thing. So now, do you want to stay and listen to it, and then we'll talk about it after, or what do you want to do?
I don't know. If somebody else want to call in, I can let you go if somebody else wants to call in.
I don't,
Otherwise,
I
I'll
don't,
hang
I
on
don't,
with you.
I don't see anybody else wanting to call in. So nobody's saying I want to call in.
Okay.
So anyway, so tell you what. Now this should work. Now tell me in my ear if you can hear Tim. So I'm going to switch over to Tim here. Let me pull myself off of here. I don't think I'm there. Let me see. This should work. Well, we'll find out in a second if it works or not. All right, here we go. Okay, this is Tim Cass. He's talking about the Trump team held back dirt on Kavanaugh accuser, the new book written by that one. What's her name? Molly Hemingway, the one who's on Tucker and Sean Hannity a lot. You know her from the Federalist Papers.
His name's Tim Pool, though.
Yeah, this guy is Tim Pool. It's Tim Cast's video. So let's take a look what he has to say. Okay, here we go.
Timcast is one of his channels.
Okay, now if you can't hear it, say, Carl, I can't hear it. Okay, here it goes. Let me double check.
Okay.
Where are we? Should be able to hear it. Here it goes.
That the Trump team was holding back dirt. Well, they won. They didn't need the dirt, but it probably would have been more damaging to use because they would have been smeared. But let's see what happened. According to Fox News, they say at the height of the furor over Christine Blasey-Ford's accusations against Brett Kavanaugh, the media were filled with speculation that the Supreme Court nominee might withdraw from the nomination battle. But President Trump and his top aides wanted to fight back in the press and on the Hill, especially after Kavanaugh showed White House counsel Don McGahn his decades-old calendars showing he hadn't attended a party where Ford alleged the assault had taken place. In fact, according to a new book, Trump realized the nomination might fail in the latest Me Too frenzy, but if so, they wanted to go down fighting. The behind-the-scenes strategy is revealed in Justice on Trial, the Kavanaugh Confirmation, and the Future of the Supreme Court. The authors are Molly Hemingway, the Fox News contributor and senior editor at The Federalist, and Carrie Severino. The book describes a central conundrum for the judge and his advocates, which is that the team understood that any criticism of Ford would be treated as a smear and depicted as victim shaming. That's exactly what I was saying. It may have actually hurt if they try and use any political tactic. Although some of those who knew Ford shared details about her behavior in high school and college that were dramatically at odds with her presentation in the media, the book says that the Kavanaugh team decided to focus on his record and the damage to his reputation. The book touches on some of those alleged details involving Ford. The authors are extremely critical of the coverage of the nomination drama, including a New York Times and Washington Post, including the New York Times and Washington Post, and blame in part the media's irrational personal dislike of Kavanaugh. That was insane, if you guys remember how nuts it was. He was near tears talking about how he's being smeared and lied about, and he's a guy who's already a federal judge, who already went through background checks, and all of a sudden these ridiculous stories emerge, and the media tries to destroy him with nonsense stories that made no sense and had no evidence. It's like rationality went out the window, and a bunch of crazy people were taking charge. But I'll tell you this, I don't think they're crazy.
All right, looks like we were getting some echoing in there on Tim's video, so we'll cut that off. There we go. All right. Sorry, guys, for the echoing on that one.
It could have been because my phone was not muted, maybe?
You know what? Maybe. And you were listening to it. Oh, that was it.
Feedback from the phone since we're working through the phone.
Right. That's probably it right there. Okay. Well, it looked good on paper.
Well, now we know for next time.
Now we know for next time.
Anyway, for next time, and
right. Okay.
to tell whoever you're on the phone with to mute it while the video's playing, but then they can't talk. They can.
Right. Then you can't talk. That's true. But that's okay.
Then
but
we
anyway.
Can't talk. Yeah.
But okay. So now we know. Okay. So if I do that with the person on the phone again, then make sure I tell the person on the phone, mute your phone so the sound isn't going to you coming back in and then coming back on the player. Yeah. Okay, so now we know. Yeah. There we go.
Echo.
Oh, well, he said, sounds great now. Well, I already took it off. So, shit. So, okay, so that was it.
Yeah. Yeah.
But the point
this sounds like...
the point of that story was that basically the Trump team could have they had some dirt at the time. They could have used it on Blasey-Ford and the others, but they chose not to use it, which was really good. Yeah, I think actually, you know what? I think I did fix it when it was echoing, because what I did is I think I hit the main mix button and I took it off. So I probably could have played the rest of it, but that's okay. But now I know for next time. But yeah, so I mean, basically the big thing with Blasey-Ford and even Melania, Molly Hemingway reported that Melania, as a woman, went up to her husband and said, after she was watching the testimony and stuff, and she said to her, she's lying, right? And Trump's like, what?
Yeah.
He goes,
yes.
And Trump's like, really? He goes, I thought she was. And Melania goes, no, I'm a woman. I'm telling you, that woman is lying. And they caught her, and of course they caught her in a bunch of lies, like she said she didn't like flying, and of course she did her graduate school in Hawaii, and she didn't take a cruise ship to get there. And while she was in Hawaii, they did those little puddle jumper planes from like one island to the next. And the boyfriend,
she did tourist planes. Yeah,
right. And the boyfriend who was with her said she never had a problem getting on one of those planes. Never said to him, "Oh, I can't get on the plane, I can't fly." And obviously she was flying back and forth to. I guess they lived in Jersey, I think at the time, or maybe Virginia. She was flying back and forth to see her folks while she was in school in Hawaii. So she was obviously on a plane a lot.
Sure. Yeah, I remember that. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So I mean, it was just
tore her testimony down. All that stuff about the house and being afraid. They debunked it with the timelines and how that addition was actually made to the house, and they went and exposed her every which way for lying and just being so it wasn't even just her body language, which was obvious, but to people who pay attention to body language, I guess. But most women, so they know she was lying. But it's interesting to me that they had that strategy, and it goes to the point that we were discussing the other day, that I really believe there are going to be some when President Trump, when it's all said and done and he's out of office, and not counting things that are classified, there are going to be some really fun books exposing these kinds of things about what his plans were. Like the games that he played with foreign leaders and the games he played with the press, knowing they were going to react this way. This is the strategy we took. And then we're going to see a little insight to this alleged 4D chess that's been playing all this time.
Oh, no.
So it would be fun.
I think when all this comes down, hey, did you see this story? Let me pull this one up real quick. This was kind of weird. Let's see. Got a cutaway on this. I'll let you know when it's on your screen so you at least see the headline.
No problem. I'm multitasking.
There you go. Let's see. It should be coming up. It's about an 18-second delay right now on the preview to the YouTube. There it is. It should be on the screen right now. 2 Marines charged with attempting to transport undocumented immigrants. They were down there on the border.
Marines.
Yeah. Well, remember these are young kids. I mean, these are young kids. I mean, out of high school, and somebody says, "Hey, we can make $1,000 for every one of these people we bring across," and they're down there. The Marines are down there out of Oceanside, and and there's a lot of.
What the heck is going on, Carl? It's a free for all down there. My goodness.
I don't know, but that's the whole thing. You put people in positions where somebody can make a few extra bucks, and they figure, it's like to themselves they're saying, well, we're not destroying the country. We bring over like 10, 12, 15, 20 people who, there's 100,000 coming across a month. They figure, well, the 20 we brought across didn't really change the way the country was acting. So they figured we'll make some money on the deal. So yeah, it was funny. Then they started pointing their fingers at each other, saying, "Well, it was his idea." No, it was his idea. It's like 2 kids.
Oh my God.
Yeah, and so now of course
they were just hiding a couple of illegals in the underneath their stuff in their transport vehicle and.
Yeah, let me take a look at this here.
Driving them across.
Let me take a look here. Let me pull.
Some brilliant plan like that.
Something like that. Let me pull you off of here real quick. But here, let me back the story up. Let's see here.
The older I get, the less angry I get, and the more I just laugh. Is that a sign of dementia, or is it just accepting the things you can't change?
Right. Yeah, give me the strength to accept the things I can't change and the power to change the things I can, or whatever this is. I don't know. But anyway, 2 active duty U.S. Marines. Yeah, 2 active duty U.S. Marines are being charged with attempting to violate immigration laws after they were allegedly caught with 3 illegal immigrants in their car near the U.S.-Mexico border. 2 Border Patrol agents made the discovery after tracking footprints believed to have belonged to illegal immigrants 7 miles north of the border, near Tecate, California. The agents then found a black vehicle with 5 people inside, according to the criminal complaint. When they were placed under arrest, Byron Darnell Law II, that's one of the Marines, the driver, informed the officers he was a Marine stationed at Marine Corps Base Camp Pendleton, which is over in Oceanside. Law said the passenger, David Javier Salazar Quintero, also another Marine, they said he was the mastermind behind the effort. And then Law said Salazar approached him the night before and asked him if he wanted to make $1,000 for picking up the immigrants in Jacumba, California. Salazar was being guided by cell phone from an unknown number in Mexico. The Marines picked one immigrant and dropped him off at McDonald's parking lot to hand him off to another person. They were not paid for that trip. The number called again on the night of their arrest and said they would be paid for both nights in cash. They picked up 3 illegal immigrants near a Jacumba Hot Springs exit on I-8, which runs right through San Diego. Salazar maintains it was Law who introduced him to the smuggling operation. A Camp Pendleton spokesman told NBC News that their command is aware of the charges facing Lance Corporal Law and Lance Corporal Salazar, and that they will continue to cooperate fully with the investigative efforts into their matters. And both Lance Corporals are riflemen assigned to the 1st Battalion, 5th Marine Corps Regiment. Ta-da! Crazy, huh? I know.
It's just disappointing. It's like, and when I think...
It is disappointing.
You know this. You're a defense attorney. That most criminals are just stupid. They're not masterminds, and so when somebody does something that violates the law, they're probably they're just stupid. They're just behaving stupidly. They're not thinking it through. So, because I
Right.
was going to say, don't they think they're going to get caught, and if so, how it's going to reflect on everybody? Especially their unit, and or what do they call it in the Marines? They call it a unit, yeah.
Yeah.
And then more
Well,
Army stuff and Marine stuff.
well, they're young kids, and so the only thing
But they
about it is
don't
like,
think that. Yeah, that's just what
right.
I meant. Yeah, they're not thinking that through. Of course, they're
No,
not thinking
these
that.
kids are 18,
They're
19,
barely
20 years
thinking,
old.
through the
Right.
day.
Yeah, they're thinking like I get a couple of grand in
Yeah.
my pocket, and again, there's 100,000 illegals coming across per month right now. They figured even if we take 20 per month, how much? 20 times 1,000, that's a lot of money.
Yeah.
It's $20,000.
Yeah.
For two young
Sure.
18, 19-year-old
Sure.
kids, cash. I mean, in their back pocket. I mean, you can do a lot with that if you're a young kid. Go out, buy a car, a nice car or something.
Yep.
You know.
Yeah, it's a
So
little. It's just the opportunity presenting itself, and what is it called? Means motive opportunity. It's just.
yeah, it was
It's right place, right time kind of situation.
right. They were right there, and they figured, well, no harm, no foul. Let's
Hmm.
see.
Yeah, yeah. What's two more? What really? And from that perspective, what is two more really?
Let's see if I can find.
At least some Americans are getting money off of it, I guess, if we're going to look at it in a glass half full kind of way.
Right. Let's see. Let's pull this one up. And then Ken Cuccinelli is saying ICE agents are ready to perform their mission as deportation reprieve ends. Da-da-da.
Yes.
Now, Cuccinelli, though,
Ready to deport 1 million. They were saying, no, that's hyperbole. No, the president said 1 million, but that's how many they have on the books, I think, that are officially have been given the orders to depart. And
yeah, and
then he came out and said, yeah, we're not going to be able to catch all of them.
well, no, you can't catch. You
not
don't have
Pokemon. We can't catch them all.
Well, no, you don't. Well, no, you don't have staff to go out and catch 1 million people. No, but what Cuccinelli's point in this article was that this shouldn't be like, he goes, this shows you how screwed up we are when it comes to enforcement. He goes, this shouldn't even be a news story.
Sure.
These are people who've been to court or didn't show up for court and got a deportation order, by default because they intentionally did not show up. I mean, you're given a court date, you're supposed to be there, and I know how these things work. I've been to court once or twice. Okay, you say you don't show up the first time.
A couple times.
Yeah, if you don't show up the first time, they don't say, well, you lose. No, what will happen is the immigration attorney will, well, let me see if we can get a hold of him, and, let's see, can continue the matter for like 2 weeks or a month. Give us a chance to see if we can get a hold of him, get him back in here. And they'll say, okay. I mean, nobody ever says no. And they say, so sure enough, the attorney probably goes to try to track these people down. They can't find them. Or maybe the attorney working doesn't want to find them. Comes back 2 weeks later, says, well, we can't find them. And then the state goes, hey, we want a default on this. And they say, okay. Here's your default judgment, your order of deportation. And the ones that do show up, something like over 90% lose because they didn't have real asylum claims or they entered illegally or whatever. So, in other words, these are people they've had their due process. This wasn't, I mean, nobody can argue against this. They've had due process, plenty of it, and they lose, And he goes, this shouldn't be a news story. They were just picking up people who went to court and lost or people who didn't show up for court, and now we know where they are, and now we're going to take them and send them back to wherever they came from. And, and people are now saying, oh, this is terrible. Well, what the hell's so terrible about it?
Yeah, they've just escalated. Yeah, there's nothing for reasonable people.
Right.
There's just they've escalated their rhetoric that the ICE just doing its job is somehow a horrible thing. And that's, of course, ridiculous, but that's where their rhetoric is. That's how far left, as you were saying, how far left the leftists have gotten.
Well, I think eventually Cuccinelli Cuccinelli right now he's not in charge of ICE or Border Patrol. He's in charge of that one other. Let's see, yeah, here we go. Ken Cuccinelli. Let me pull you off of here real quick. You're in the way. Effie. There we go.
I'm in the way.
Well, no, the little thing that says.
Is this better?
Yeah, the little thing that says "Guest Effie Loves America" on phone was right. It was right in the way.
Well, I can't fix everything, Carl. I'm only one person.
You're just one person. So let's see. Ken Cuccinelli, the acting chief of U.S. Citizenship and Immigration Services, on Sunday said agents are ready to perform their mission as President Trump's 2-week reprieve on sweeping deportation runs out. Trump urged lawmakers to reform asylum laws ahead of the planned operation, but there's no movement on the issue. In fact, Pelosi was saying something really stupid today, which I'm not going to go into too much. But anyway, she was saying something really stupid. So Cuccinelli said initiation of the roundups is now up to Matthew Albence, Director for Immigration and Customs Enforcement. It shouldn't be a shock to anyone since they'll be targeted to people who have removal orders. This is just what ICE is supposed to do, he told Fox News Sunday. The fact that we've fallen to the point where we're talking about it like it's news tells you how far we've fallen on the enforcement side. Cuccinelli later told CBS they had him making all the rounds, which tells me something else about him in a few minutes, that it's only making waves because Trump is trying to catch up on the backlog. In other words, it's because of Trump doing it. He goes, really, this should be going on a rolling basis for ICE. Cuccinelli told Face the Nation, suggesting agents had been impeded from carrying out removals in the past. Trump's push for deportation sweep has been the subject of controversy, with some aides reportedly worried about the optics of people being torn from their homes. Like, no, daddy, no, don't, daddy, no, why are they taking you, daddy? Oh, no. And the woman's like, oh, all the tears and stuff, I'd be there with my video camera. I wish they'd tell me where it is. I'd be there. Carl's Opinion YouTube channel. It's like, hey, go home. No, you suck. It's like, yeah. Anyway, Trump said Friday he expects the operation to begin fairly soon, though added, I don't call them raids. I say they came here illegally. We're bringing them out legally, Trump said as he left the White House. These are people where we have the papers. We've gone through the court system. Now, the point I'm going to make about Cuccinelli, tell me if you agree. Cuccinelli was like former Attorney General for Virginia, wasn't he, or something like that? He ran for governor but lost. Is that the guy?
Virginia, was it?
Yeah.
I can fact check it real quick for you.
Yeah, I think he was former Attorney General for Virginia. He lost when his race for governor, if I'm not mistaken. I could be wrong. I can't remember now.
Well, I'll go it.
Oh no,
yeah,
Google
46th Attorney General.
Okay.
Yeah, I won't Google. I'll go. Yeah,
You'll
46th Attorney General for Virginia until 2014, and nominee for governor.
Okay. Mm-hmm. So he lost that race. So here's my thing about him. Since once they threw him out there to make all the talk.
Wow, he went gray in 6 years. Sorry.
The things you notice. Yeah, his gray hair. That's important. Let's
he
cover.
Went gray. He was like not gray 6 years ago, and now he's almost completely gray. Poor guy. He's seen things, Carl. This man has seen things.
Right. He's been on the front lines. He's seen it all in Virginia. I'm sure it's a really tough place. But
Poor guy.
But my guess, this is my guess, based on the fact that they got him making the rounds, and he's been vetted as being an attorney general and being through an election process. My guess, there's your new head of ICE, or potentially maybe, here's a guess, Homeland Security. Mm-hmm. What do you think? Sure. I'm thinking he's getting groomed for Homeland Security because he'll pass a confirmation process because he's been so vetted through elections and being AG, and he's probably real clean. He sounds like he's polished. He sounds like he's totally on board with kicking people out, which is Trump is happy about. So here's Carl's opinion prediction. Yeah, he'll be soon to be nominated by the president for head of Homeland Security.
So is the current head of Homeland Security announced that they're stepping down?
I don't think we have don't we have just an acting chief of Homeland Security right now?
Oh, okay. Well, I remembered, yeah, that's right. You're right. Because there was somebody that stepped down, not, 2 months ago?
Well, there was a guy they put up, and he wasn't going to make through the confirmation process, so he withdrew his name, and he split. And,
okay.
And now they just got some acting guy at DHS. That was after what's-her-name quit, got fired, whatever the deal was.
And Barr has only been Attorney General since February, so he isn't going to be stepping down, so he's not going to be trying to get that job.
Well, no, and plus, you can't do it now. He's in the middle of all this shit and you got Durham out there chasing down people, and Barr's I like Barr because, he's so establishment, which, when he was in front of Congress, he's so establishment that he can get away with what he did. Like when that asshole from Connecticut, the guy who said he was in Vietnam, what's his name? But he was never in Vietnam. The Democratic senator, he's on judiciary, I think. God, what the shit is his name? Democratic senator. Yeah, Democratic senator from Connecticut. If you can look that up, And he said he was in Nam. He
Okay.
said he fought in Vietnam, but he was in the army, but he never. I don't think he even stepped foot in Vietnam. He said he was a Vietnam War veteran or some
Huh.
shit. But if you look
I
him
didn't hear
up,
that one. Yeah.
yeah. Well, shit, I'll look it up. What
I
the fuck?
am duck-duck-going it.
Let's see.
I'm duck-duck-going it.
Well, let's see if I can Google it faster. I bet I can Google it faster.
Well, I got Wikipedia, but now it's giving me all the senators. Richard Blumenthal, Chris
Thank you,
Murphy.
Richard Blumenthal. So anyway, so Blumenthal was asking
He said
Barr.
he was in Nam and he wasn't in Nam.
Yeah,
That's like
yeah.
Kerry's saying he was in Cambodia when he wasn't in Cambodia.
Well, yeah, but at least Kerry was actually in combat. I mean, Kerry was on a damn boat, you know. I mean, Kerry was actually there.
Yeah, yeah.
Look, they on that Swift boat thing. It was really unfair what they did to him because they said he did a self-inflicted wound to get.
Yeah, I know. You're on the side of Kerry on that argument. I know.
Well, no, because
I heard the whole thing. You said those guys were lying.
No. I didn't say they were lying. I said
okay.
it was op research, and so they kind of like took the truth and kind of twisted it. It wasn't actually a lie. A lie is you can prove
Okay.
really false because they said okay, if you get 3 Purple Hearts, you get to leave Vietnam, right? Well, he got 3 Purple Hearts, and the last Purple Heart he got was he fired an M40 grenade launcher. And at the enemy, he was in the middle of a firefight, and he fired it. It like hit a tree or whatever, and it blew up too close to him, and it blew back on him, and he got shrapnel as a result. So he got a Purple Heart for that. And they said, oh, it was a self-inflicted gunshot. It was like a self-inflicted wound, like he shot himself in the foot.
Right.
But he was in freaking combat, and he fired the damn grenade launcher. It blew up too close to him, and he got shrapnel from it, which is a legitimate wound, and it's not self-inflicted. Anyway, so at least he was in Nam. Now, Blumenthal never was in combat.
One thing I know for sure is that he looked like an Oompa Loompa in that space costume he had on during the primary, during the election, rather.
Oh, when he put on that goose hunting outfit? Is that what you're talking about?
Yeah, it was
He put on the camouflage. He was going goose hunting.
No, he had a blue. Where was he? It looked like some kind of like a clean room he had to go into, and he put on a blue. He looked like a Oompa Loompa. It was like orange face sticking out of the blue head to toe outfit. You don't remember that?
No. For some reason I don't. I don't know why I don't, but some reason I don't remember that. But nonetheless, anyway, what was the point I was trying to make? Oh, anyway, I was talking about Barr being an establishment guy. That's okay. I was talking about Barr being a real establishment guy, and he can get away with just being kind of like dismissive of people because he's so establishment, he's so blue blood, right? And so Blumenthal's up there,
Sure.
And Blumenthal is a former prosecutor himself, and so Barr kind of looks at him, well, you're a former prosecutor. You wouldn't give that information up. You know better. And then Blumenthal goes, well, did you have a conversation with President Trump about that? And he's like, yeah. He goes, well, did you take any notes? He goes, pretty sure I did. He goes, would you make those notes available? And he goes, no. He goes,
no.
He goes, why would you want them? So then he asked Barr if Barr's going to recuse himself on all these investigations, into Comey and all this shit. And so he goes, well, are you going to recuse yourself? And he goes, no. Like, just straight up, no, I'm not going to do it. Like, fuck you. But it was like, no, fuck you. And it was just the way he said it. And Blumenthal just kind of, he saw him kind of back up, like in his chair, like he kind of sat back a little bit, like, oh. Like, we got a real guy with balls here. We got a real establishment. This guy's so connected, all the establishment. He knows he's safe. Nobody can fucking touch him. Nobody wants to touch him because they can't because he's tied into probably who knows who, Koch brothers, everybody brothers, whatever. Because he's just an establishment guy. And he's like, no, fuck you. He's like, you got nothing on me, and you can't touch me with a 10-mile pole. I don't give a shit. But so, yeah, he's not going to get rid of him because this, again, he's so established, he's just kind of going out there. I think what's funny is I think his motivation, I want to hear what you think about this. His motivation that he was AG under H.W. Bush, and that's when the AG's office was not politicized, and it was before 9/11 and all that shit. Mm-hmm. And he saw what's happened to the Attorney General's office, and he wants to fix it. What are your thoughts?
Mm-hmm. Whether it's possible to fix that or fix the public opinion of that.
No. I mean, Barr's motivation, because Barr's not a Trumper. Barr's
You think
but
that's his motivation? Do you think that's his motivation?
he wants to fix the AG's office, bring it back to when he ran it back in H.W. Bush days, 1990, 91, that kind of stuff.
Well, not knowing the man personally to make guesses of his motivation, but I would say that anybody who's not a Trumper is, but is still considered to be conservative and in a position of authority and legal, in a legal position, in other words, an AG.
Right.
But then they're going to be doing it for what they believe. Then that puts him, okay, did you watch Game of Thrones?
No, never. Not one episode.
Oh, well,
never.
Crap, this isn't going to help. Crap. Now, there was a character there, and he, his whole thing was what's best for the kingdom. He was ostensibly one of the good guys, but, they were all morally gray kind of. Ostensibly one of the good guys, but his deal was really, for the people in the chat who know who I'm talking about, his deal was really about what's best for the kingdom. I'm here for the kingdom. And the king, and then sometimes because there were different kings and queens and, people got killed and stuff, Game of Thrones, would ask him, are you loyal to me? He would say, I'm straight up and tell them, I'm loyal to the people. I'm loyal to the kingdom. And I will tell you when I think you're doing a good job or a bad job. And if you want me to advise you, I will. And if not, you can chop off my head. But I'm not going to change. And
wow.
And I think there are some people like that.
So that's probably like a Bill Barr. Because, Barr is close with the Bush family, obviously.
What
and
else
obviously,
would his motivation be,
that's what I was thinking. See, that's what I was saying. When he was getting nominated, a lot of people say, oh, he's going to be Trump's attorney. And I'm like, no, this guy is a close family friend of the Bushes, and the Bush family blames Trump for the old lady dying, for Barbara Bush dying of a heart attack. So obviously there's a lot of bad blood there. So if he's doing what he's doing,
pretty shitty.
Yeah. So
I
obviously,
mean that they put that in the book. That it just seemed seemed to be distasteful. I don't know on the Bush family's part. I think.
Oh, I agree. Well, they're a distasteful family.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I mean, so obviously, his motivation is I love Trump. I'm Trump's attorney. I'm Trump's man. His motivation is clean this mess up.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what I was trying to, tell my liberal friends. It's like, hey, this guy's just going to get to the truth. He doesn't give a shit where it goes. He's just going to get to the bottom of this mess, and he's going to try to get this mess cleaned up so it doesn't happen again. He's going to get rid of whoever he has to with the FBI, whoever he has to get rid of at Justice, and he's going to try to bring it back to where people can trust those agencies again to be non-political like they used to be when he was in it.
Right. Yeah, so he's Varys, which is the character on Game of Thrones that you haven't seen, so you don't know how right I am.
There you go. Well, I'll just assume I'll just assume you're wrong, and we'll go from there. Well, there you go. Since I haven't seen the show.
That's how it is. I understand how it is.
Well, this is Carl's opinion.
Like that. I can play that role.
Carl's opinion is
That's
tough.
right.
It's a tough show. Carl's opinion. Carl's opinion.
Yes.
We're not a little softball show here. This is tough. This is like real in depth. Wait, what do I put in my thing? Real in depth analysis and commentary.
Attorney that's always right, and I'm the dancing starfish. So I know my
starfish. Where did you get that dancing starfish line from? Where's that from? I've never heard that before. Where did that come from?
Because I'm in Florida, and most of my clothes that have any print on them at all contain tropical things, and so currently I'm wearing a pair of pajamas with starfish on them.
Oh.
That's literally where it came from right now.
Well, now I know why you don't do video calls anymore. That makes sense.
Well, at this point, it's 3 a.m. I'm in my pajamas.
Oh, that's right. That's right. I always forget I'm on the West Coast. I'm a West Coast snob.
Yeah.
I'm tired of being like East Coast snob all the time because
nobody wants to see my pajamas, my starfish pajamas.
Totally agree. You're right. No, the phone call is much better. Definitely much better. But I tell you what, Miss Effie, it's about midnight. I've been on for 2 hours. I'm going to go ahead and wrap up tonight's live stream. So stay on for a sec. And so let me see. Let me get myself back on here. Where am I? Here we go. Boom. Boom. All right. There we go. All right, everybody. I just wanted to say.
I'm helping you with the sound effects.
There you go. You can do the sound effect. Anyway, for Carl's opinion, this is Carl. I want to thank everybody who's been in the chat tonight. Thank Ms. Effie Loves America for her live call in, and everybody who's been viewing the show, and everybody who'll be viewing later. So good night, everyone. Have a great night. And Effie, would you like to say good night to everybody?
Good night to everybody. Thanks for hanging in with us as long as you did, because it's late out here on the East Coast.
It is. All right, guys. Have a great night. Take
and
care.
American Shield Salt Oompa Loompa. Yay!
Cool.
Okay.
All right. Take care, guys. Bye-bye.
Good night, y'all.